Hello and welcome to the beginning of the trading day right here in Lagos, Nigeria. Here's what's coming up in the next 55 minutes. The federal government of Nigeria plans to raise 350 billion naira from February 2025 FGN bond auction. We get an outlook for oil and gold prices in a new trading week. I will see the euro nudge higher today after Germany's opposition Conservatives won the national election. It's great to have you join us. Let's get a check on what's playing out with the markets now. We're seeing with oil. Starting off today, was down earlier today. We're still seeing volatility in the oil market there, but we're up 0.12%, $74.52 a barrel. But the U.S. grade, that's WTI, that's a marginal 6 basis points hike this morning, $70.44 a barrel. It's still hanging on by a thread there between being in the green and in the red. Investors are watching out for a lot, coming this week with results, for big companies. So I guess we should be looking at tech companies this week, how they're going to react to NVIDIA's results, earnings that's coming out later this week. That's for Wednesday. Let's get a check on the metals market now. We're seeing gold. Gold's holding steady today, but most of the metals that we track all fully on in the red. Gold was trying to hold on to that $2,955 mark, but has lost it by 0.40%. Spot the U.S. gold futures, that's $2,939, down 0.50%. So it's all red, with most of the metals that we track. Silver not left out, 0.40% down there, $32.42 per ounce. Palladium, that's down 0.30%. So a lot to look out for right there. And so we're talking about the tax credit scheme so far. And early on business morning, we had some cheer about what to expect going further. That's for more development, more road development with the tax credit scheme, and what to expect going forward. Take a listen.
We look at projects as not building structures and infrastructure. It's like sowing seeds. And the success of that seed you're sowing is community ownership. So when you have initiatives like this, where you are trying to get that community buy-in, both from the people affected, but very importantly, the people who will take ownership of that project to ensure its sustainability over time, that is the right move in the right direction. Whether that could have been done earlier or later is a subject for a different conversation. What is most important that it is happening? Because when you walk away after the commissioning and cutting of the ribbon, there are people who have to have that local prioritization to take ownership and ensuring that the benefits of that road is actualized. If you have a 40 years life cycle, over those 40 years, there are people that should hold whoever to account who should actually have that oversight and ensure that we keep delivering, getting that value from it. Whoever you're tolling has to see the immediate benefit of the tolling for them to actually buy into it. You don't want to go through gallops and bad roads and pay toll 5 minutes after. You want to see that efficiency in the repairs. You want to know that I'm taking this route and it's a shorter route. It's almost like getting a premium service. So an ideal tolling system is one that's technology driven, is one that has transparency in the fund allocation, is one that you see that immediate benefit, but very importantly as well, it shouldn't be seen as another tax yet again to the citizen. It should actually have, in principle, an ideal case, best base practice is that it should have an alternative route. So the individual who's going through that route understands why I'm paying that premium. And if I can't afford that premium, I go through that alternative route. So it's not a flat out task imposed on every citizen. So when you have those modeled into that tolling system, you see some of those sentiments, some of those trust issues, some of those things actually start to dissipate, and you then get the individuals who see where their money is going to with road maintenance, not kicking back on another road development, saying we need to toll this to develop it. They start buying into it, and that's where that stakeholder buying comes in, when you do these things and do them correctly.
All right, there you have it. We need to see the prospects there for other projects so that people can pay their taxes more in the country so that we can get more infrastructural projects. So also, top of the agenda is buying Nigeria. We've heard about that slogan before. Everyone should try and buy Nigeria. So we have that department that's in charge on developing, buy Nigeria, made in Nigeria products so that Nigerians can, find made in Nigeria products more attractive. We also spoke to them earlier today on Business Morning.
We have already started by expanding down to states. Currently now, Made in Nigeria have offices and state coordinators all over the country, down to local governments, down to wards. So through this, we can be able to have a regular training, regular orientation, then regular innovation, and be able to teach our people and then find a way to have an inclusive on how we can be able to start developing this. Because it's all about national strategy for homegrown economy promotion. So we need to do all this to develop, to grow, and promote what we produce. So the strategy we have already started is by developing and expanding down to states, then down to wards, in which we have already started having access and also having coordinators in different countries. Currently now about 20 countries outside the country for offshore to takers. So with this, I think that is a gradual process and we're going to achieve that.
Yeah, hopefully we achieve that very soon with most Nigerians, buying Nigeria, going forward. Well, we'll take a break now. When we come back, more conversations. Do stay with us. All right, now let's find out what's playing out with most of the markets that we track, starting with the domestic market. And we'll head straight into the global market to see how it's going to be a packed week this week. We're having John McQuarrie to give us the details on, wow, 108,000 still.
Yeah, 108,000
for the NGX.
The fact that we've been, having a drop in the market almost all through last week. We only had one green trade at the NGX last week, but the good news is that we're still retaining the 108,000. So I guess it's just a little bit of shaving off all of that. Maybe investors are not so aggressive about profit taking yet. We hope they don't get to that stage. But I mean, it's all for the profits. That's what market is about. Exactly.
So, we've had new highs, from that's from, basically February. February, I was expecting some kind of, profit taking for the month, but that didn't happen.
It came as a surprise.
What a surprise.
Yeah, because I think we went from less than 100 or so from the beginning of the year, and then we went up to 109.
Yeah, there was a time we were trying to get back above 100,000.
Yes,
level,
and then we went past that. We went to
it, new highs.
7 and new highs and all of that. So don't worry, we're good, and
we'll keep watching. At this point.
Exactly, and maybe we might even be doing even better because now we heard that Flutterwave is thinking of listing in the market. I'm sure Flutterwave is a global fintech company that provides payment infrastructure for merchants and payment service providers. So they've unveiled their plans to list their shares on the Nigerian exchange. So probably we should see higher numbers on the market cap real soon. They disclosed this during a courtesy visit to the president. And then Flutterwave is valued at $3 billion. So if they add about $3 billion, to our market cap at this time, I guess we should be looking at very big numbers and a positive movement in the market. So we'll see how they will go through with that. Of course, we'll be following the news. Meanwhile, outside the NGX, the federal government bonds, the federal government, today, they have an auction through the Debt Management Office. They've announced an offer for subscription by auction, aiming to raise $350 billion through the issuance of federal government bonds. The amount is less than a total of $450 billion offered in the previous month during the January 2025 bond, but the auction is scheduled to take place today. Will consist of reopening of two previously issued bonds. We have Love now joining us to tell us more about this. Love is a trader with FSDA Merchant Bank. Hi, Love. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
So this auction that's scheduled for today, is it on already? What's the status?
Yeah, the auction is on already.
So what's the status? Do we have anything? Do we know what's going on with the yields? We saw last week the NTB yields was dropping, especially after the hold status or decision of the MPC. Do we hear anything about yields and all? All right, I think we do not have Love right there. I hope we'll be able to get her back to tell us what's going on with the auction, the federal government bond, which opens today. For today, it's the total that's aimed at is 450 billion naira. And then, so we'll see what will happen at the close of trade today. Probably tomorrow we'll have more about that. So let's leave Nigeria now and see what's happening in other parts of the continent. South Africa is in the negative this afternoon. Well, I'm not surprised. We've seen South Africa growing in leaps and bounds, talking about their stock exchange, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Last week, they did hit the 88,000 and they retained it, even though there's a drop of 0.82%, but they're still on 88,185.63. Look at other markets now. Egypt is in the red as well as Kenya. Kenya closed Friday in the red, but still holding on to 132 level, which is, well, at least where we've been before, a safe place to be for that market. But it does seem like most of African markets are in the red intraday today, including Kenya, are closing red. We move from there to the Middle East and also see a lot of red color formed from Dubai, which is 0.25% down, 5,345.77 to Abu Dhabi, also red, 9,604 down, 0.15%. The Tadawul of Saudi Arabia is also red. Only Qatar was able to escape that intraday, 0.23% at 10,665.95. Let's go to the United States and see what's happening right there. I think there was a story I missed from the U.S. market. There's NVIDIA. I know that Ladi told you about that. That's one big expectation that's supposed to move the market in different form. There's also Apple, yes. Apple is in the news, and I'm sure that the tech guys, NASDAQ, there you have it, would also be excited about this. So we see that it's mostly green and comfortably green, I must add. Dow Jones has gone to 43,000 after it gained 0.71%. S&P is more than 6,000 at 0.51. And NASDAQ, yes. The news around NVIDIA, I think NVIDIA is expecting their result this week, and also Apple moving. I think they have new products or so. So the NASDAQ is really happy, and it's in the green at this time. Then we move to Asia, and see what's happening there. Is mostly red again. What a red Monday. Wonder what they did over the weekend. So we see the Nikkei is green, 0.26%, but that's just about it. Kospi is red, 0.35. Hang Seng is red, more than 0.5%. The Shanghai is red, 0.18. And well, India is still on that downward trend, even though they are able to just struggle and hold on to the 22,000 level, but they closed today 1.06 in the red. So Asia Pacific markets mostly down at the close of trade, negative territory sustained by Nifty. Japanese markets are closed for a public holiday, by the way, so there we have it. It seems to be a red market, unfortunately, for this Monday, but I do hope that before the close of the week, Ladi, that we would see some change of colors, right. Starting from home, obviously, to most of the markets. And I think Juliana was telling us how much data and meetings going on.
Right.
And we know that these meetings may be holding in boardrooms and closed doors, behind closed doors, but they always sip out and they always have effect on the market, on investor sentiment. So most of the markets are waiting. The Russia peace talks, the one with the UK, the one in Europe, and all of that. Everybody is waiting for those talks. And, then we'll now see reaction.
I guess, it makes sense. Investors want to take some money off the table and, analyze, what's going to play out this week with NVIDIA. Their earnings are coming out. So definitely we know the tech-heavy NASDAQ will feel the impact if it outperforms or, underperforms. But
I know China and DeepSeek will be waiting somewhere to study the numbers and see if there's a gap. They can just, get
and come and do it cheaper.
And do it cheaper.
At the end of the day.
I guess that's what consumers can enjoy when there's competition in the world.
Oh, yes.
And you can get cheaper products.
Right. We love competition. And love for consumers, at this point. Thank you so much,
All right, thank you,
for giving us what's playing out in most of those markets now. But let's get a check on what's playing out with the global commodities markets now. Let's get an outlook for prices. That's talking about gold and oil. We'll have Wachira Kariuki, is the CEO, African Diaspora Asset Management. Join me via Zoom. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Ladi. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so it's a brand new trading week, and definitely we've seen how gold has performed. So for that, last week, are we seeing investors craving that safe haven asset this week?
Very good question. As traders, actually, in today's meeting, very early in the morning, we had a couple of discussions. Traders are split 50-50. People think the market is consolidating because that's what it has been doing for the past 3 days. Thursday, Friday, and today, Monday. Market is either, it's ranging. It's hitting a high and dropping, and it's neither going up nor is it coming down. Remember, we've just hit an all-time high of $2,955 an ounce last week, Friday. So people are speculating it's consolidating, so that it starts breaking new highs. I'm of the opinion it's going to consolidate and drop and look for more volumes, then go back up. But for now, it's trading in what is called a range. That means it's neither going up nor coming down. It's just oscillating between an average of 100 and 200, 200 pips, between $2,955 an ounce and a low of $2,923 an ounce, thereabouts. So there's no clear direction, there's no clear volume, and we are waiting to see what is the best way forward. So it's a wait and see approach for gold, especially if you're a day trader.
Right, and talking about where gold is, at the moment, it's just a couple of dollars away from that $3,000 psychological level. Once that hits, what's next for gold?
Oh, if it breaks that, then that's it. It's called a free for all. It is on a proper trajectory now. The moment it breaks that psychological high, which is both a technical and a psychological high. Number two, it's an all-time high. Number three, the speed at which it hit that high is a very serious concern because it has done that in less than 6 months. So it's increasing at an increasing rate. The change in alpha, right? The quantitative amount of change in pips per day, per week, per month to hit that high shows a significant demand. Now, as you know, this is driven by the US election and the tariffs that Trump, the president, spoke about. So this might be something that's not necessarily going to stop anytime soon. I mean, he just had his presidency. He's going to be there for the next 4 years. So it's safe to assume gold is going to be on a very strong trajectory, short of something happening. We think that if it crosses the 3,000 mark, it's now completely going to go to new levels. You can buy and hold and patiently see how that will go because it has never crossed that high in close to 10 years. So it's going to be a very, 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 very major point in time. And we are not many points away from that. No wonder it's oscillating just below that price. Because should it crack that price, then it's a whole different ballgame now.
It's quite interesting. You see most of these assets, hitting new highs, a couple of indexes, trading in different countries, also hitting, new highs in this period. It's quite interesting. But do you still see central bankers accumulating more gold in 2025?
I do. Politically, it makes sense to accumulate it. Structurally, it makes more sense to accumulate it. The BRICS idea has been completely shelved for now, so we are going to hold the dollar standard. Therefore, it makes sense to accumulate it. It makes sense to stock up on these reserves. It's both for speculation and even fundamentally as a central bank. I think any central bank right now is either going to buy more or at least keep what they have. They're not necessarily going to start selling and give more liquidity to the gold market. So gold is going to, for some reason, either increase in price or at least hold constant. I don't see it dropping to, say, 40% of its value over time. I don't think so. I think it still remains the biggest store of value. And I think all things considered, because of the political issues around there, is going to even gain more value, so to speak. However, we traders who take positions need to know that it's driven both fundamentally, because politics shall come and change. So if it breaks the 3,000 mark level, in my opinion, even as a fund manager, we'll be buying to hold. And all those positions will become swing traders, considering we are not even swing traders. But if that happens, then the ball game has changed. It's a whole different scope. And
Right, quite interesting. I'm wondering what's going to bring that profit-taking sentiment. That's for gold. Is it because I know it's uncertainty, that makes investors, try and get, into gold. But I guess I will also have to find out what would bring, profit-taking. We'll try and get Wachira back there. I think I lost Wachira there. But, it's quite interesting to see, what's played out with gold, so far. I remember, when the Russia-Ukraine war, once that started, we did see gold was trading at about $1,600 per ounce. And, fast forward to about 3 years after, we're seeing gold at new highs, almost cracking that $3,000 psychological level. And, as Wachira said there, investors are watching patiently. Once it hits that level, he's a fund manager, and he says he sees other fund managers actually, buying and holding more gold, in 2025. So I guess it might be safe to call 2025 the year of uncertainty, which I guess is good for gold. But what if certainty, comes into play? What happens with gold? Is that where we see, profit taking? We'll definitely be finding out about that. I was also going to ask him about what to expect for oil prices this week. We've been getting mixed signals when it comes to Brent and WTI. The week before last week, they did close in opposite directions, with Brent up, WTI down. What play do we expect for this week? I'm sure investors are also watching out for what's happening with U.S. stockpile, if that's going to impact, oil prices, going up or down this week. We'll definitely find out for that, and we'll try and get our Chira back again at some point there. Yeah, all right, we'll try and get him, when he comes back, when he have the settled his internet there. But let's look at other stories now. We see in an exclusive interview with Channels Television, Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Maitama Toga, highlighted Nigeria's commitment to championing Africa's economic growth, inclusivity, and resilience. That's on the global stage. We're speaking to our South Africa correspondent, Innocent Tomosa, on the sidelines of the just concluded G20 Foreign Ministers meeting in Johannesburg. Take a listen.
Absolutely. We've been engaging with the South African authorities and stressing the need to address this at all levels. Even during this visit, this was discussed with Minister Lamola. And first and foremost, both South Africa and Nigeria agree that we need to do more trade, more investment. South Africa already has some major successes in the Nigerian economy. If you look at what the turnover of DSTV, turnover of MTN, turnover of Standard Chartered, turnover of ShopRite, this is huge. There's no equivalent here, and we want to see that. And again, I think it was the father of modern economics, or even capitalism, Adam Smith, that stressed that trade and capitalism doesn't just work with movement of. It's not just about moving goods and services. It also fundamentally requires movement of people. So Nigerians have to be able to come here to trade.
All right, to other stories now. Rivalry between traders of processed macadamia nuts and those dealing in shell nuts. That's taken a twist in Kenya there, with the latter accusing the agricultural industry regulator of favoring the former. That's the macadamia nuts processors there. The Nut Traders Association of Kenya claims that the Agriculture and Food Authority, they favor macadamia nut dealers aligned with the MacNut Association of Kenya. In the ongoing dispute, MacNut Vice Chairman also wrote to AFA calling for stricter penalties for raw nut or in-shell traders, alleging that they are involved in malpractice that could damage the integrity of the industry. All right, I don't know if you're a fan of macadamia nuts, but I am a big fan of those nuts, but we hope they get some peace there with the farmers and those that process other shell nuts. To other stories now, Kazakhstan and Nigeria, they held a business conference in Abuja aiming to strengthen trade, economic ties, and explore strategic partnerships across sectors such as agriculture, digitalization, and natural resource utilization. The Kazakh delegation, led by Deputy Foreign Minister Ali Alibek, engaged with Nigerian officials, including Minister of Agriculture, Food Security, Mr. Abubakar Kyari, and representatives from major banks and businesses. The event focused on key areas of partnership, including simplifying visa procedures for citizens and diplomats and exploring the possibility of establishing direct flights between Kazakhstan and Nigeria to enhance economic and trade relations. And the government of Ghana is planning to borrow at the cheapest rate since July 2023. The government of Ghana secured its lowest borrowing costs in 19 months after rejecting about 10.9 billion Ghana cedis in bids in the latest Treasury bill auction. Results from the tender held on Friday, 21st, 2025, show a significant decline in interest rates across all short-term government securities, marking the fourth consecutive week of falling yields. The auction attracted about 20.5 billion Ghana cedis in total bids, but the government accepted only about 9.6 billion Ghana cedis, reflective of its renewed strategy against high borrowing costs. The 10.9 billion Ghana cedis is rejected in rejected bids is also higher than the 8.2 billion Ghana cedis in rejections in tender since 1942, and about 2.9 billion Ghana cedis tender of 1941. And yeah, definitely a lot playing out even in the mining industry, and we see when it comes to mining in Nigeria, that's generated a lot of issues when it comes to illegal mining and trying to get those illegal miners into the part that actually helps to promote exports of most of these minerals, trying to get them finished as much as possible. But we also have to tackle that the issues when it comes to mining in Nigeria. This next report highlights the challenges and ways to overcome some of the challenges in Nigeria's mining industry. Take a listen.
A bucket, a shovel, a calabash, and a sack are all a woman needs to process solid minerals at this artisanal mining site in Yenja village, Tafa Balewa local government area of Bauchi State. Over 100 women of different age groups have found a source of livelihood here. Some of the women bring their babies with them. When they get tired, they rest and eat. The area is rich in tin, columbite, zircon, monazite, and precious stones. Mrs. Samaila, a 25-year-old graduate of the College of Education, Gindiri, has been engaged in this business for 5 years. She describes the physical toll the job takes as she digs a hole to get water that will be used to sift the raw concentrate using rudimentary techniques amid uncertainties of finding deposits.
This work is using energy. If you are doing it, sometimes you will come and tired. If you're tired, you will not do it again. If you stop, where are you going to get the money? You will remain without money.
In addition, they often experience back pain and headaches. The roles of men and women on this site are entirely different. The men own the mining pit, drill the holes, and get inside to extract raw materials. On the sidelines, the women assist by collecting the raw materials and are rewarded with 1 free bucket for every 10 they gather. Okay. These women work here together as a group, and they have earned 8 buckets of materials from helping the men over the past 2 days. The sifting process takes the whole day to complete, and if they are lucky, they could go home with about 2 kilos of solid minerals. While cases of sexual harassment and security challenges have been reported at mining sites, the women working here say they have not experienced such issues. Away from the site, 23-year-old Mrs. Xavier brings her mineral materials to sell. It is sorted locally, and she earns 36,000 naira for 3 kilos of tin, with prices often fluctuating between 12,000 and 15,000 naira per kilo. She says that their job is dependent on luck.
One day you go, you can never make it, you can never get it to reach like this. One day you go, you can make it to pass like this.
The Nigerian Mineral and Mining Act of 2007 recognizes artisanal miners with provisions for regulations and support. An update on the act in 2023 included plans to formalize their activities. However, concerns remain about illegal operations, safety, environmental damage, and inadequate regulation. Organizing artisanal miners to maximize their benefits while ensuring compliance with the law is the focus of the state government.
Pests locate, identify their locations, generate their data, register them into our database with the state corporate appears as artisanal miners. And finally, planning, to establish a kind of center where these resources are going to be centralized, are going to be collected, and in return at the same time, the state is, partnering with other investors.
Amid the economic gains, challenges and concerns, many women in the mining sector appear ready to pursue better options if they were available. Hajara Aliyu, Channels Television News.
And one of the promises made by the Bola Tinubu administration since its inception is the building and upgrading of critical infrastructure. And the Minister of Works, Senator David Umahi, has reaffirmed the president's commitment to completing all road projects initiated by the current government. Speaking at a stakeholders meeting on the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway Phase 1 at a hotel in Lagos, the minister addressed concerns raised by affected communities over ongoing federal road projects across the country. Take a listen.
It's a crucial stakeholders meeting on the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway and other federal road projects nationwide. The Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, lays the premise, giving updates on different federal road projects across the country.
This is beyond road and bridges. It is an investment. Along the corridor, we're going to have a lot of commercial activities. This coastal highway is going to be connecting to the existing, routes. A lot of them we inherited, and I will give you synopsis of what we have done in some of these projects. So this is what we can say about the four legacy projects of Mr. President, and in particular, the coastal highway.
The minister emphasized the administration's commitment to infrastructure development and expressed confidence on why the president will get his support in 2027.
The president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is going to have 99% of the votes of Southeast because he has been very nice to the people of Southeast. And we will leave Southwest to give us 99.99% 2027.
Community leaders at the meeting voiced concerns about the impact of the road construction on their livelihoods and properties.
My town is Ojeomi. It is in Ogun State. The boundary is in Channel 103.
103. That's the end of the job.
That's the end of section 2. surveyors and said they are now re-engaging, alignment, that they want to realign the work they have done.
You have cleared. Is it correct, Jabu? You have cleared. Okay. We are not realigning, Your Majesty.
We are not realigning. Thank you. We are very grateful.
We are witnessing a transformation, in terms of infrastructural operating. The entire Lekki-Epe corridor is being opened up by this administration, and we are very happy with what is going on. And we will assure you that we'll continue to support you.
We will feel left out from the development, from the stretch of road. None of them terminated in the southeast. That one is coming to Ebonyi State,
yes,
terminating there.
Yes.
Because who felt that stretching from Port Harcourt, this one, that one, why did it pass Enugu and none of them, won't have access to enjoy the beautiful.
Hold on, man. The Southeast is benefiting,
okay,
even though they inherited, but the president directed that he's a unifying president. What Southeast never got, they're getting it.
Yes.
The Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road is a 700-kilometer project designed to connect Victoria Island in Lagos to Calabar in Cross River State, enhancing transportation and economic activities. Agenda, affected communities continue to seek clarity on compensation and resettlement plans. Dari Ido, Channels Television News.
All right, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll head straight to Berlin. Just stay with us. All right, so it's official, at least through preliminary data, that German citizens have chosen a conservative-led government for the next 5 years. The CDU-CSU alliance has emerged as the winner of the election, with the far-right AFD coming in second. It was being called their biggest election victory to date. Well, tough negotiations are set to begin to decide who Germany's next chancellor would be. We'll look at what this election result means for the economy and the markets in Europe. Joining us now, we have Vada Imrach in Berlin. Great to have you, Vada. So, what is the latest?
Thanks for having me. Well, yes, Laddie, like you said, this election is probably one of the most important and decisive elections in Germany's recent history. Now, the conservative Christian Democrats, which include the CDU and sister party CSU, have dominated the polls, securing 28.6% of the total vote. And the far-right AfD came in second at 20.8% of the total vote. And the SPD, which is outgoing Chancellor Olaf Scholz's party, was in third place. These results reflect an obvious shift to the right and show historic losses for the SPD. Despite coming on top, the CDU failed to get enough seats to secure a big majority. Instead, they will have to extensively rely on other parties to obtain a two-thirds majority in the parliament and make a proper coalition. Once that's decided, the parliament then votes for the chancellor candidate. Analysts and experts say the most likely outcome will be a grand coalition between the CDU and the SPD. These two parties together have been part of many successful governments, including much of Angela Merkel's time as chancellor.
So you say the likely coalition is of the Social Democrats and the Christian Democrats. So how is this alliance viewed in Germany and most of the markets there?
Well, for many here, any alliance that does not include the far-right AfD is viewed as favorable. Almost all of Germany's mainstream political parties have set a hard red line not to work with the far-right. Germany's history has shown that far-right parties in power spell trouble. So while the AfD wants to make government with the CDU, they won't get to do that. AfD leader Alice Weidel has hinted that the party would be happy to align themselves with the CDU, which opens doors for collaboration in the future. Now, talking about the SPD and CDU coalition, that is being viewed as the most stable, business and market-friendly outcome. All bets are hedged on this coalition. However, I should point out that these two together still don't have the two-thirds majority in parliament, which is required for, let's say, lifting the debt brake and implementing big changes. So they might need the Green Party or the Left Party to get that kind of legislation passed. The economy is a top concern here, so I think many are looking to the government for relief in the future.
Right, and talking about market friendly, I remember when Trump's win, that rallied most of the markets that we track at this point. But with what's going on so far in Europe, what are investors looking at today in the market?
Well, Laddie, like you said, how all eyes were on Trump when that election happened. All eyes here are on CDU Chancellor candidate Friedrich Merz, who is slated to be sitting on Germany's top spot soon. And he has vowed to make a government by Easter. So that's only a few weeks of negotiations. They definitely want to have more government spending and want to lift the debt brake for defense spending mostly. So increased government spending will boost the German economy. All eyes are on a coalition that's looking to spend more. Investors are also following the IFO Business Climate Index for February, which showed that German business sentiment was flat, only up 1.1% from January. Analysts had expected a 0.6% rise at least. The German-wide DAX index dipped a little bit this morning when it opened, but the latest update shows it's thriving, up 0.8%. And this shows the market's reacting well to the election and is continuing the DAX's upward trend. Now, inside the DAX, Porsche, Daimler, so Mercedes parent company, Volkswagen, the banks, Airbus, they're all seeing a great rise. However, Siemens Energy, which is a leader in green energy, suffered losses. And unsurprisingly, arms manufacturer Rheinmetall was up more than 4% today and actually has been on a high since comments about increased defense spending here have started last week. And that's all from us from here today.
All right, thank you so much, Vanda. I wonder if the euro is still rallying. Earlier today, we're reporting, higher euro with what's playing out there with politics in Europe. But thank you so much for giving us details.
Thank you, Laddie.
All right, let's get a check on what's playing out with other markets. Now, I'm seeing red on the screen. If you're looking at the crypto, an overview of the crypto market there with Coin 360, Bitcoin 0.8%. Down, just a few pockets of green. If you're looking at, the color in the market there, but we're seeing stable coins rising and Tron also trying to hold up there with Cardano deep in the red. Let's look at the sentiment to the market now. How are investors feeling? Are they greedy or are they feeling bullish at this point? Talking about the fear greed index, that tells how investors are feeling in the market, and it's smack on neutral at 49 points there over 100. All right, let's look at the top headlines in the market now. We see Bybit, that was trending earlier there. They got hacked. There are reports of a hack, but they've managed to restore their reserves after that massive hack. So Bybit's saying they've fully replenished the reserves following the devastating $1.4 billion worth of Ethereum hack, ensuring that client assets are fully secured and available for withdrawal. I guess that's good for most of the users there. Then the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission have closed investigation into OpenSea. At this point, they've concluded investigation into OpenSea, and that's a leading NFT marketplace. The inquiry, which began in August 2024, was part of the SEC's broader efforts to regulate digital platforms that could be considered on registered securities marketplaces. Then also, I don't know if you know about Picoin. I'm hearing about a price surge there, about 726%. That's at the launch. A lot of people have been waiting for a long time for that Pi launch, but I guess they finally have it. Let's bring in Chimezie Chuta now, National Blockchain Policy Steering, as the chairman for the National Blockchain Policy Steering Committee. Great to have you, Chimezie. Yeah, you might have to unmute. I see your mouth moving, but I can't hear you. A lot playing out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's always a pleasure to join you, Laddie.
Fantastic. Great to have you. So I guess good news for Bybit users. That was a huge hack there about how many $1 billion there of Ethereum. That's a lot of Ethereum that they kind of lost to that hacker. And it seems there's some calm now with that. And we know when hacks happen, it's always the users that get hit the most. So how are you seeing it?
Well, I give it up to the CEO of Bybit for the way he and his team handled this hack, because the crypto industry has been seeing a whole lot of uncertainty ever since President Trump took over in 27th of January. It seemed that every week, especially every Friday, the industry always have some kind of drama, or one kind of drama or the other. But in fairness to Bybit, they pretty handled it very well, because immediately this incident happened, the CEO went on live and had the confidence of all his users to prove to them that their funds are safe. This is the best way to handle things like this, and I really give him an applaud for that. I think he's actually the GOAT, if you ask me, right now in terms of exchange CEOs.
And do you think they're out of the woods, at this point? That's the Bybit exchange.
Well, according to the CEO, he said that every asset on Bybit is matched one-to-one. In other words, they have more than enough to cover for anything that anybody brings in there. Okay, so we also have on-chain data that proves or shows that Bybit has been buying a lot of Ethereum to replace and be able to service all the withdrawal requests that are coming into the exchange. And of course, you see that there has been a whole lot of rallying together by industry operators. For instance, you have people from Binance, people from Bybit, OKX, and other exchanges. All their partners are rallying together to support this particular exchange at this moment. And it's something to be happy about, because the industry, even without government interference, is able to control and regulate itself. And that's worthy of praise for them at this time.
Yeah, quite interesting. Self-regulation. I know that's been talked about, the crypto industry, because it's not easy, regulating this industry. But, we keep trying to advise, investors in the crypto market on, how to keep their funds, safe, so that you don't have to get the wrong end of the stick when, an exchange gets hacked. So what do you think is the new way, to protect your investments in the crypto industry in 2025?
Well, surprisingly, this hack actually happened to a Bybit code wallet that was connected through a safe multi-sig wallet. Now, most people feel that external code wallets are usually the best places to keep your wallet. But you know that criminals are usually ahead of us in terms of discovery. So if you go by what happened in this particular case, where a UI that mimics a UI from safe multi-sig wallet was presented to the multi-sig holders, and they didn't go through the transaction request before signing off, which is another problem when it comes to multi-sigs. If you have a transaction request for you to sign up, it's important that you take your time to read what you want to sign. The same way that if you were the one that was trying to sign your own transaction, you'll have to spend some time to read whatever it is that you are supposed to be signing, and make sure that you are not signing off your life savings off without any consequence. So that's exactly what happened to those multi-sig holders. Now, it brings that discussion back, not your wallet, not your seed, not your money. Do you understand? If it's not your keys, it is not your asset. Fine. But remember that a lot of people who hold crypto want to trade with it. It's not everybody that has crypto that wants to keep it in a place where he won't be able to access it. So the essence of having funds in exchange is for you to quickly jump into the market and quickly to jump out of the market when you have the opportunity of trade that will go in your direction. Aside from that, I believe that every other money that somebody has, every other asset somebody has, should be kept on cold wallets, away from the hot environment of exchanges or otherwise, because that's the only way you can protect those assets. But that does not mean that people will not keep leaving their assets on exchange. You can imagine $1.4 billion worth of it in Bybit. These are customers' funds. And you cannot tell me that people who own this fund, they've never had that saying that not your keys, not your asset. Okay, so it's a discussion that we'll continue to have. And I believe that for new users, they should also understand that not your keys, not your asset.
Right, not your keys, not your assets at this point, and definitely not easy, being your own bank at this point. But Chimeze, we also have some big news in the market. I don't know if you also mind Pi. Back in the days, you'd get people that would try to shill you that's mining, Pi and all of that. But finally, after so many years, it seems it has finally launched.
Yes, I think Pi has to have a place in the 8 wonders of crypto world, because not many people gave Pi a chance, and we can see today that they have made good their promise and listed this particular asset. Even though it dipped slightly the day of its listing as expected, but if you look at the market sentiment right now, if you look at the price action right now, you can see that it's recovered very, very well and is actually ready to take another leg upwards. And that teaches us something in crypto. Never you say that something will not work. If you have the opportunity to try any particular technology, innovation, or asset, any kind of thing that you think you have the time or the ability to try, just go ahead and try. Because the innovation that brought out about 5 years ago, which is that of being able to mine crypto with one's phone. As at that time, it really makes a lot of sense to many of us who think that we are technically savvy, because we were comparing it with mining Ethereum or mining Bitcoin, and we thought that it was an impossibility. But however, for you to have a market cap of this magnitude, up to 60 million users in your project, it's something to tell you that this crypto space is not a respecter of persons. Anything is possible.
Anything is possible. And I guess congratulations to all those Pi miners, from back in the days. Well, thank you so much, Chimeze Chuta, Chairman, National Blockchain Policy Steering Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Vladi.
All right, so much to unpack today, and the markets are still, playing on at this point. We'll give you more details tomorrow on what's trending in the market. A lot to expect, coming into a new trading week right here in Lagos, Nigeria. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Ladi Williams from the team right here at Channels HQ. It's bye for now.